crude oil rallying after Hamas's surprise attack on Israel. The threat of US and Iran entanglement growing, especially if action is taken against Tehran. Sok Jin weighing in on the market implications, writing this: in terms of risk premium, we see an increase of $5 to $10 per barrel. The risk of escalation is real, and while Iran may not have nuclear weapons, it does have a stranglehold on the Straits of Hormuz, through which 20 to 30% of global crude oil flows. Joining us now, a man who knows a little something about the crude market, Stuart Wallace out of Dubai. Stuart, you and the team, as you look at things right now, have you changed your expectations on crude supply coming out of the region?
Not so far. I mean, it is absolutely true to say they have a stranglehold over Hormuz, but, you know, with the proviso that no one has ever successfully managed to take Hormuz down for any length of time. So you can definitely make life more difficult. But I would also argue in the long term, it's not necessarily in the interest of Iran to do that. I mean, for one thing, just to remind to everyone, you've got the US Fifth Fleet sitting up in Manama, not that far away. Is that really sort of a bear you want to prod? I think the second leg of it, which is tougher sanctions, you know, or at least a more careful control of what's coming out of Iran, you know, that certainly is a possibility. And at a time when OPEC is still constraining supply, that would clearly have a more immediate impact on the market. So I think it's those two factors, but of the two of them, the more likely approach, at least for now, seems to be on the sanctions. But again, we'll watch and wait.
Stuart, how much crude has been coming out of Iran over the last year or so? And has the administration been turning a blind eye to that?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily as a blind eye, but yes, it is up sharply, and it's definitely been a big factor in the market. I mean, I think as one of your previous guests said, it's something in the order of about 50% over the last 12 months higher, and the expectation is that that would continue to go higher. Now, clearly the calculus has changed in the last few days, and we're really watching Washington to see how they're going to react to this. Again, that will take several weeks or several months to play out. At the same time, you've got this big calculation to make about how then, in turn, does OPEC react, Saudi Arabia in particular. It's got quite a great deal of spare capacity right now, but it's not quite clear what the appetite in Riyadh is at the moment. In a scenario where Iran is constrained, does Riyadh then reopen the spigots? It's very hard to gauge today what that reaction might be.
Stuart, thank you, sir.
All right, shalom to the elect. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000. I'm the brother Yawanathan, back with another quick lesson. Lord willing, is edifying. And if you've been watching mainstream media as well as alternative news media for the past week, you're going to see a lot of propaganda around World War III concerning this Israel-Hamas conflict. And we always got to go back to the scriptures, because right now the people are in fear. You know, they fear-mongering them. They pretty much hyping it up. But when you go back to the scriptures, you're going to see that Yahweh Shai told us that just because you're hearing about wars and, you know, you seeing war, it doesn't mean that the end is come. All right, this is Matthew 24, verse 6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So we know that World War III is not going to happen tomorrow or next week. And how do we know that? Because through the sequence of prophetic events, we know that Revelation 13, 16 through 18, that has to first come to pass, aka the MOTB, aka the micro CHIP. That prophecy has to come to pass first before World War III actually goes nuclear. All right. And when you read it in the NLT, it says, "And you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately." But the end won't follow immediately. So all this hype and all the propaganda that you're seeing and all these alternative news medias, they don't understand Bible prophecy. They don't know the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai like we do. So it's our job to report on these things in truth and tell you, you know, how it's going to directly and indirectly affect your life, our lives. And so with this war, you know, this conflict thing that's going on right now, oil prices have already went up 4%. All right. I looked up how do oil prices affect Americans, and this is from www.investopedia.com. It says the bottom line: high oil prices can drive job creation and investments as it becomes economically viable for oil companies to exploit higher cost shale oil deposits. However, high oil prices also hit businesses and consumers with higher transportation and manufacturing costs. So it doesn't only just affect crude oil prices, but when crude oil prices go up for America and then really in the world, whenever you have these wars and conflicts, especially in the Middle East, it affects the citizens of the people of the world. Because you're wherever you at in the planet, you could be in America, the main stage, so to speak, Babylon the Great, or you could be in Europe. It's still going to affect you. Because once, your government, so to speak, has to pay more for oil, or these businesses and, both government or private and public businesses has to pay more per barrel for the oil, that's going to directly affect your pockets, you and I pockets. All right. And this is going to bring in an economic collapse. I'm not saying this particular situation in itself, but this is attributing to the economic turmoil that's coming to America. This is just another straw on the camel's back. Eventually, we know that we all familiar with that proverb. You can put 100 straws on the camel's back and he can endure it. But they say the straw that broke the camel's back. So it's that 101 that, breaks the camel's back and he collapses. So in the spirit, pretty much you got all these different factors that's adding into America's economic downfall, which is directly going to lead to Jacob's trouble. Jacob being you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Hebrew Israelites. So we have to watch these things. We have to pay attention to it, but we can't feed into the hype because we understand prophecy. We understand the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and Yahushai himself explained it more in detail in Matthew the 24th chapter. He said the end is not going to immediately follow this. So the wars and all that, yeah, that's a part of it, but there's not going to be a nuclear war next week, man. All right, America's economy has to collapse first. Revelation 13, 16 through 18, a.k.a. the Charagma, a.k.a. the MOTB, the micro C-hip, that has to come first, and that cannot come unless this current economic system collapse. And how is it going to collapse? Through high oil prices, hyperinflation. Right now, crude oil is at $84.04 per barrel. All right, but it went up 4%. I thought I just had I think it's right here. And you look all over the news concerning how the war affects the economy, you're going to find more interesting news other than just the propaganda of World War III and how this is going to lead to war. Yes, there's proxy war involved. Yes, it is going to lead to World War III eventually, but the direct effect of what's happening right now today between this conflict is affecting the oil prices. All right, it went up. So if this continues and it continues to go up, there's going to be a lot of suffering for you American people, especially you American people, because we know Israel is America's ally. So right here it says I looked up projected rise in crude oil prices. So this is from www.ogi.com, and they saying that EIA projects that Brent spot price will average $91 per barrel in fourth quarter 2023, and we're heading into that fourth quarter right now, and rise to an average of 96 per barrel in second quarter 2024. So 2024 is looking like that year that, America's economy is going to collapse. And I'm praying that it is. And all of us are praying that it is. Because this thing, we're not rushing the Lord. We're not hastening above our Creator, but we are hastening for the day of Yahushai and for these prophecies to come to pass. All right, we've been telling you people about this, and now we're excited to see it come upon you when you didn't believe us. You know, you scoffed, you mocked. Well, now you're going to be starving to death. Now you will not be able to even afford a slice of bread because of hyperinflation. You won't be able to put your gas in your car. You won't be able to afford your necessity expenses in America very soon. All right, I'll just say it like that, very soon. And this is 2 Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. That's the status that we at right now. You people really believe that America is still this great country. You still haven't even realized that America's economy has already failed. That this place, this government, the United States government is in $33 trillion of debt to the central bank, to the Federal Reserve. You haven't realized that yet. It's not really hitting you yet because you haven't been affected by it in your so-called reality. You can still go and afford food. You can still go and afford the necessities of life, the basic needs of life. But there's going to come a time where you won't be able to even afford that, let alone food, let alone water, let alone meat and things like that. You know, that's how this thing is going to go down, man. It's all throughout the scriptures. There's going to be an economic collapse and all you people are going to suffer because you trust in the American government so much. You trust in this economic system so much. You really think that America's economy is strong, and nobody's economy could be strong as long as they're in debt, because it can appear strong. It can look like, oh, the economy's doing good. But then when you look behind the scenes, if somebody's in $33 trillion of debt, it don't matter how it looks like they're living, it's not good, because really everything they have is in debt to whoever they owe it to. So you people are in for a rude awakening, man. You have really no idea how bad this economic downfall is going to really affect you. You think the government's always going to be there to help you. You think, you people are living in la la land, man. And that's why I said, you look at the news concerning this Israel thing, and they're not really talking so much about how it's affecting the prices of resources, how war in itself in general affects economies. All right, pretty much when a nation goes into war, they're expending their economy. All right, they're exhausting their finances to go to that war, which means at the time while the country is in the war, they're pretty much in a recession. They're pretty much in a depression until after the war is over. And for their sakes, hopefully they win. If they lose, then that's a complete destruction of that civilization. If they win, it's still going to take them years to rebuild. They're still going to be in an economic turmoil for some time until they can rebuild. And that's if they win. So like Vladimir Putin said, there's no winners in World War III. This is not a war that's going to determine who rules the world next. This is a war that's going to destroy Esau Edom's his rulership, so to speak. 2 Ezra 6 and 9. That's what World War III is. World War III is the end of the so-called white man, Esau Edom. All right, but it's not just going to happen overnight. So we're seeing, these prophecies are creeping up on you people, man. You don't even realize it. You think you're in good case because you can still afford essential necessities. But there's going to come a time, it says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So there's going to be a lot of chaos throughout these societies in the world as these different wars and, these different conflicts escalate. Because everything is just going to escalate. None of this is going to be resolved. Like they say, no peace. There will never be peace in the Middle East. Because the Lord said it himself, there's no peace unto the wicked. And in 1948, you small hatters, when we know you're not the people, that could be a lesson in itself. But what I really wanted to focus on was the economic effects of this thing. But you people, you don't even understand that those people are imposters, that those small hats in the land, the reason why there's been war and chaos and conflict in Palestine and Israel and the West Bank, etc., in Gaza, is because those people that are there are imposters, and those other nations know that. The only people that don't know that is you stupid ass Americans over here, including 2/3 of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Israelites. You don't even know that land is yours. You don't even understand Bible prophecy enough to understand that what's happening over there in the land is the Lord. He's about to get rid of them heathens out of that land. He's causing them to fight each other, to destroy each other, and eventually he's going to end in nuclear war. But you can't put the pieces together. You don't understand that certain things has to happen first before the war actually goes nuclear and causes that catastrophic destruction that we read about in the Bible, which is known as the second death, when the Most High is going to judge this world again, just as he did during the time of Noah with the flood. Y'all don't understand that. So you're going to keep going on in your la-la land, your make-believe world, thinking that, you know, this is not affecting you. That's in the Middle East. It has nothing to do with you. But yet, all you got to do is a couple of Google searches, and you're going to find out that, you know, oil prices have already went up 4%. All right. Will war in Israel affect gas prices? What to know about costs at the pump going up? And that directly affects all of us. Well, most of us, because brothers got cars, you know, we're going to have to pay more for gas. But the difference is that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is with us. All right. We know the will, and we're subjecting ourselves and submitting ourselves to the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Unlike you people, you don't want to hear these prophecies. You don't want to hear the things that's to come. You don't want to hear what the Heavenly Father, your creator, delights in. What's going to please him. What's going to please him is what he already told us what he's going to do on this earth. All right. And that's destruction, you know, famine and death, man. The Lord is bringing that to this planet to judge you evil ass people, man. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, you could do more research, but through the video and these couple of articles that I brought out through the Spirit, you should have a decent understanding that gas in general, war in general is going to affect oil prices, especially when there's war in the Middle East and there's conflicts between America's allies and the major nations that contribute to global oil trade, such as Iran, Saudi Arabia. You know, you see the picture, Kuwait, Iraq, you know, that whole region. That's where really every nation, every superpower between Russia, China, and America, they all get their oil, their crude oil from this region on the earth. So as this war escalates, as it will escalate, because it is prophecy, it's going to later affect, whether directly or indirectly, whether now or later, in the soon coming days, it's going to affect you American citizens, whether you don't care or not. You don't want to really hear about it. The propaganda is putting fear in you. You scared. You don't want to deal with it. Well, you're going to have to deal with it, because this is Yahweh Shem Yahushua working. All right. So, yeah, just keep your eyes on it, but don't get overhyped. Mostly, I'll put it like this to end the lesson off. Don't be so hyped about this leading to World War III. Be hyped about it leading to America's economic downfall and the global economies of the world failing. Be hyped for that, because the micro C-hip, it has to come first. All right. There's not going to be World War III. Nukes are not going to start flying. Yahushua is not coming back until the MOTB prophecy comes to pass. But these things are leading up to that, because the economy has to collapse first before they bring in the digital economy in the MOTB. All right, so with that, I'm going to say, call hello, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Hope and pray you were edified through the Holy Spirit. And Lord willing, I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.